Okay, welcome everybody. Let me hand over to Morris from Gopher, and he'll kickstart our session this morning.
Thanks, Derek, for this opportunity to present on our technologies, particularly focusing on the digital conversations area. Because I'd like to share with you first a couple of SMSs I've received from people. So this is an international charity, UNICEF, that sent me a text asking for helping with the children in Syria. The next one is a national health insurer. I insure with these guys, and you can see it's NIB. And thirdly is a innovative e-tailer based up, I believe, up in the northern beaches, who are selling surf gear. So we're all asking, well, we get these things. Are they treating us well? Are they showing us how they're better than other people? Are they listening to us? These are some of the issues we want to discuss today about how you might want to engage better than these types of propositions that are coming through the marketplace. So the pain in the business case, well, basically we're hearing in the marketplace, particularly financial services, that we're trying to hang on to as many customers as we can. We want to keep them as happy as we can. A quote there from the Medibank, enhancing the customer program. We're also trying to pick up on the groundswell of the digital enterprises. Applications are quickly moving to the cloud. Companies are looking at increasing their customer satisfaction by boosting their revenues and their growth targets, and also especially trying to lower their costs. And a quote from Oracle: it's important not to forget a much older technology, SMS. Even people without smartphones can receive and respond to SMSs. That'll be part of our go-to-market as we speak today. A headline that's out there also is a very important one about cost savings, experiencing a 20% decrease in customer calls. We all know the costs of call centres. They're heading to the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars for the large enterprises. We need to take a view of how to lower that and increase customer engagement at the same time. Good reasons to look at SMS mobile marketing. Well, it's permission-based. Already your customer has said that they trust this way of communicating with you. It's safe and assumes your customer thinks your messages are of value to them. SMS is native on all phones, where everyone understands text, everyone understands how to reply to them. There's no learning curve involved in understanding, trying to understand how to respond to them. They're not thinking about what to do next. They're paying attention to your message. This is very important. It just simply works. SMS has a very high open rate. It's an unsaturated channel. I'll go unpack that shortly about how SMS is really being underrated at the moment. Consumers are willing to receive promotional texts. Of course, this is under the right circumstances. We'll be unpacking that about some research that's been done in this area about how many of your customers, partners, your marketplace might want to be able to communicate to you through this medium without really being much of a burden to you. And lastly, SMS isn't going away. Look, ask the older generation. People over 60s are actually moving into this market, taking up SMS as a way of communicating. 24% of them said they'd send more text in this way than they were a year ago. SMS is staying power right through the world as a multiple chat and messaging platform. Some more statistics from Oracle, just from last year. 5 times higher open rates of SMS versus emails. Response rates are 2,400 times faster than emails, 90 seconds as opposed to 2.5 days. Link click-through rates are 5 times higher, so 19% versus 4.2%. Messages that an individual receives through text is only a small proportion of those received from email. So we're all being flooded today by emails. Everyone's finding it hard to prioritize which are the most important ones. So the final decision made there is just leave them inside the waste bin. SMSs are being addressed, they're being opened. 99% of the time they're being opened, they're being read, they're being acted on. Lastly, the proportion that is spam is only 1%. So in fact, myself as a user, I've encountered less than 1%. I hardly get any spam through my SMS. I see it as a really trusted channel. I'm sure most of you here today attending would also agree with that. Some research on about who will give you their number and how many more are out there. Well, 57% of research was done on a large sample space said they will share their mobile number if you offer a significant discount. Women will receive updates, reminders for various types of events if the proposition is put out to them right. That's particularly in the health, sporting and spiritual areas. 23% will share their numbers to promotional target text messages for a discount if it's less than, say, 20%. An interesting statistic also is almost 14% are willing to share their phone numbers to receive promotional text messages without any incentive. So that's 14% of the market out there willing to listen to you if your proposition is put out there properly. And then how many more? This is the great Internet of Things we're looking at is, well, who's not on the Internet of Things? Well, 1.3 million households don't have Internet access, so these people are offline. Their smartphones aren't working at home. And 20% of Australians aren't using smartphones at the moment. Another interesting statistic is that 44% of smartphone users only use 1 in 5 apps. We all generally probably would agree what those 5 apps are out there. It's your email, it's your messaging, your texting, it's your Google, it's probably Maps, and probably one other. So it's really quite a competitive space. If you're thinking about, no, I'll use an app instead as a conversational chat channel, it's just not going to succeed very easily. There's a definition of the IoT. Please opening that up for discussion later on, because SMS is digital, but it doesn't require Internet protocol. Benefits from the changing landscape. For mobile surveys, something which I'm sure all of you are keen on doing out there, reaching out either to your donor space, your customer space, your intermediary space. What are the response rates like? Well, through mobile phones, through texting, the response rates are twice as high as phone polls and 5 times higher than online surveys. When it comes to redemption, in the area of loyalty coupons, the response rates are 10 times higher than that of print copies. And an interesting factor out there about creating customer brand loyalty is that most people out there in the market have a positive perception of companies that allow you to text and converse with them through this channel. 2/3 of customers prefer to use texting rather than voice communication. We've all been put on those long call waitings, those hold the lines with all the call centres that have been offshored, and even when we get through them, the attendee on the other side doesn't know what we're talking about. If you're texting, it's a much faster medium to be able to respond, a much more non-intrusive, much more friendly way. So I'm calling out that this is the tip of the iceberg, that the 3 SMSs which I introduced at the beginning of this webinar, from the charity, from the health fund, from the innovative retail, that these are only the tip of the iceberg as far as communications through this channel are concerned. I'm calling this out because we need to really look underneath the rest of the iceberg. So 3 secrets to a two-way conversation with these brands, with your brands and your customers online. So let's look underneath that, what your customers are generally looking for. So we're looking for, the customers are looking for better ways of being treated, treating them the same, don't treat them all the same way. Show and tell the customers why you're better and why you're right for them. And thirdly, stop and listen to your customers. Our thesis is that the current SMSing is only the tip of the iceberg, and we need to empower the marketplace with better ways of communicating with digital conversations where people can interact with yourselves, with your supply chain, with your business processes digitally. What I'd like to provide you now all with a little demo, if you could text the word quit to the number 0448 668 899. Medibank's pain problem is that they have acquired the Quitline processing for the Victorian Health, and as part of that, they were looking innovative and cost-saving ways of reaching out to their marketplace. They came to us and said, well, we would like to be able to communicate digitally to our customers initially who are trying to get help with stopping smoking. Is there any way which we can do some early triaging with them digitally, and then reach out to those who really needed help and make personal calls across to them? So if you would like to run that demo, please feel free. And our product Gopher will lead you through a series of questions, just like Medibank asked us to do, about how heavy you are into your smoking, whether you've been to the doctor, where you are up the cycle about stopping smoking. So you can see there's basically leading the person through. It's walking the person to the demonstration. Vincent's then asked by Amy, who's from Medibank Quitline, asking them whether to be able to answer a couple of questions. And these questions include, are you a heavy smoker? How are you progressing with quitting your smoking? Asking an open question, how would you summarize your quitting experience in a few words? And also we're asking for Vincent's email address. Obviously we also appreciate that email may be a cheaper way of communicating out to the marketplace and good for sending things like brochures and out that out too. So they were just checking with that. As a side point, and Luke will talk about this later, Gopher is also used largely for data cleansing, where we're getting success rates of over 80%. Then the conversation carries on into the last panel there, which is sending some emails off weekly tips to Vincent. So that's what Medibank wants to do, is to try and keep in contact with the person. And finally, would that person like a call out to them? So with that, Gopher can automatically bridge that person across to the call centre, to the Quitline, to help them with how to stop smoking. So what I'm going to do now is pass over to Luke, who's going to drill down a bit more on our offering and looking at some of our solution space and discuss some of our customer stories.
Hi everyone, thanks for that, Morris, and thanks for a bit of the intro there. So what Morris has presented is a bit of what our technology does, and it creates conversations via the SMS channel. So it listens to what the respondee's response is, and then that will in turn respond to that response. So here's a bit of a breakdown of what we do. So what is Gopher? We automate conversation, and our key features are that we reply to SMS, so there's the conversational SMS aspect of it, and then we also integrate across with the other channels of communication. And so these include, Morris touched on it before, is voice calls, so we can do a bridging call. I'll share a bit more on that in a minute. We also link across to emails, so if somebody gets to a certain point or they respond in a particular way or says something in an example, then that can be transitioned across to an email in real time, so it can land right on your desktop. You'll know exactly who is engaging with you, what they've said, and you'll be able to action that. I'll explain that a little bit further, how you can do that. We also link with IVRs and we track URL click-throughs as well. So what we might do is move over to the next slide. Now this is an example. We're not going to do a demonstration, or we're not going to ask you guys to demonstrate this one today, just because in a webinar it's a difficult one to do. But essentially what we have here is an opportunity for you to engage with customers who could be at an event. So one of our clients is Vision Australia, and they have the Carols by Candlelight. And on the evening they might want to build their database and engage with the customers who are either watching on TV or they're in the audience. And what they could do is they could make a call out to the audience and say, hey, we'd love you to send a Christmas wish to all the vision impaired children that we're supporting this evening. Could you please text your name or text your wish to this number? And what they can do there is they'll text in their wish to that number, and then they can go on and ask them if you could just provide your name. That'd be great as well. So they're starting to engage them in a conversation. They've captured their phone number in a really non-invasive way, and they've also got their name, so they know who they are. So then they can reach out to them in the future with future opportunities. So would you like to know more about our services? Is there anybody that's vision impaired in your family? And then so they can engage with them, build their database and engage in that manner. So we might move now. Morris has just deployed a test, another demo to everybody. What you've just received is an SMS, and so, or some of you have, the people who provided their mobile numbers pre-sign up, they would have received an SMS, and what it's going to do is Australia Post demonstration. So this is an example. We just were asked to put this together for Australia Post and how Gopher could work in their world. And one of the things that we're talking about was delivery of parcels, and obviously making sure people are home at the right time. It's always a difficult thing for them, a big challenge and a costly expense when their guys are going to 20% of the people they're set to deliver to and the person isn't home. So what they could do is go out to all the people in the morning with an SMS and simply say, hey, it's Amy from Australia Post. Just wanted to make sure that you are home. You'll be at home for the delivery? And if so, that's great. If not, please let me know. So if they reply no, so I would encourage you, if you've got that message, if you want to reply no, and we'll start to demonstrate some of the features here. So if you reply no, you get another SMS and it'll start to automate this process. It'll say, okay, great, thanks for letting me know you're not going to be home. If you could advise if this time slot is better for you. So then they might reply no again. If that's the case, then that conversation, you would want it to transition to a human. So you handle it in real time, push it over to a human. So we'll go to the next slide. And so what Gopher enables you to do is seamlessly transition a conversation to an expert in real time. So you could have sent out this message to 1,000 people in the morning, and then when they start to engage with that conversation, you might want to jump in there at any time that seems suitable. So in this situation, I'll go through this example that's on the screen. So Qantas might be going out to their members and they might want to give them an offer. So they might say, hey, flights to Byron Bay are on sale this weekend or for $83. Book your flight now. Simply reply yes. And then the recipient, one of the recipients, could say, oh, thanks for your offer. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in that one, but I'm actually catching a plane to Melbourne tomorrow. I'd like to upgrade my ticket so that I can have a baggage allowance included. Can you help me with that? Typically, that message would go into the void and nobody would respond to it. But with Gopher Transition, when somebody replies in that fashion, we set up the software in a way so that we listen to that response and we realize that that response needs immediate action. It's a hot lead, so it gets delivered as an email to somebody's desktop. In this situation here, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen there'll be an email, and it says Amy is engaging via the Gopher conversation right now. She said that she would like to include baggage allowance in her ticket. Please reply to Amy as you see fit. So then the agent can simply reply to their email they've received in real time and say, yes, Amy, that shouldn't be a problem at all. I can arrange for you right now. Would you like me to go ahead and process that for you now? They press send on the email that they receive on their desktop, and it goes straight back into Amy's SMS thread on her phone, and she says, sounds great. Then that comes back as an email to the agent once again, and they start that conversation that way. What's really great about this service is that it allows you to deliver the highest level of customer service. Now you're able to action your hot leads instantly whenever they come in. You're able to automate lots of the conversations that you want to have with your customers, and then obviously actually only have to have the human involved in those tricky out-of-the-box replies which you want to know about. So those will be the things that are obviously hot leads, or they could be potential detractors which you might want to speak to immediately. So say if somebody said, oh yeah, thanks for your text, Qantas, I was on a really bad flight, somebody spilled a hot cup of coffee on me, I'll never be using you again. You might want to know about that straight away so they don't get on social media and show their disgruntled feelings about Qantas online. So you could jump into that conversation and say, I'm terribly sorry to hear that happened. We'd like to help you out, sort something out for you. So what I might do now is ask Derek just to quickly flick across to email so we can show you Tim Cox he's engaging with this parcel delivery conversation, and he said no. So Tim obviously cannot collect the parcel at that time. So what I might get Derek to do now is just to reply to that email and say, no worries, Tim. Should I give you a call now to organise a better time for you? Okay, thanks for that, Morris. I've been busy focusing on presenting. So this has been going on in the background, but yeah, thanks, Mila. I understand you've been engaging, and Tim, thank you as well. So there might be cross-conversation here, but essentially you can see how this conversation has transitioned to an agent in real time, and they can action your request right away. A great thing about Gopher here is that you can engage with people at a time that suits them. And so in this situation, somebody could have, so where Derek has written here, no worries, Tim, should I call you right now to organise a better time? Tim might reply, actually, I'm in a board meeting. I can't answer the phone right now. Can you call me back in 10 minutes? Can you call me back at 3 o'clock? That message will come back to Derek and he can reply, sure, no worries, I'll call you at 3 o'clock. So it's a very high level of customer service that you can offer them, and the opportunities will never be missed. So here's just a bit of a look through of what these conversations look like via email from the desktop. So what we might do now is just go to some of the examples of some clients that we work with and how this technology is being used in the market. So one of our clients is Cancer Council New South Wales, and so when we first engaged with Cancer Council, they obviously got the problem which a lot of charities have, and it's engaging people to get involved in events that they're running. They're always trying to get in touch with people, and the problem was, so they had gone through their usual campaign strategy. They'd gone out with direct mail, and then they'd followed that up with a series of emails, and then they'd handed the list of people who hadn't responded to a call centre. And the call centre had gone out and they tried to reach all these people, and Derek's just circled there. These are people who had participated in this event in the previous 8 years. So the call centre tried to call these people up to 10 times each, and unfortunately they had failed to get through to these people. So the list was about 8,000 people, and when we engaged, they said, sure, why don't we get Gopher to have the conversation with them and simply find out, see if it works. So we went out with a really simple conversation to them. The message is there, you can see it. Hi Ellie, it's Karen from Cancer Council. There's still time to get the girls together to have a girls' night in. We'd love to hear from you. To host this year, please simply reply yes or no. So lo and behold, we went out with that, started that conversation like that. 64% of those people actually engaged with the conversation and simply replied yes or no or something else. Out of that list, there was actually only 3% of people that actually registered, and so these are obviously this is the end of the line. There wasn't a lot of people in that list that they could still get through to, but they still found over 250 people in that list that were able to engage, which resulted in immediate ROI because they actually cut through. They failed to do that with the traditional methods they were campaigning with. Another interesting point was when the person said no, they actually went on and asked them why they were unable to host. From those people who actually said no, they're unable to host, 2,411 people actually provided a reason as to why they were unable to host. So this was unheralded in their terms because they never hear back from anybody, and now they're getting this huge amount of rich data which is coming back and giving them some really great market intel. So some of the responses there, I have a newborn baby and it's a bit too much for me this time around, sorry. Somebody else said, I just took up a new job, so I'm finding my feet maybe next year. So what they could do then was they had this huge pile of big data. They could go, oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of young mums with kids. Maybe we could recalibrate our campaigning next year and target young mums with kids. So the data they could get from that to use going forward was quite amazing. So they were very excited by what came out of that. Okay, we'll go on to another example here. So RACQ MARTA Fun Run, International Women's Day Fun Run. So these guys they run a fun run up in Queensland, and they had a list of people that they had run in previous years, and they were struggling to get through to them and get traction. So they were wanting to find out if their emails are correct and that they're actually emailing the correct people with their campaigning, and they also wanted to increase sign-ups for the fun run this year. So they went out with a really simple message. So the guys have said, we're turning 25 this year and we wanted to do something special for you. So we wanted to send you an email, and we just wanted to confirm that this email is correct. Please simply reply yes or provide us with your new email. And so they went out to their list of people, and here are the results. So once again, there's close to 65% of people engaged with the conversation. They were able to confirm 2,215 emails, which is 38% of people that were in that database pool. And what they were blown away by was that they actually acquired close to 800 new emails through a simple SMS. So what their call centre would have done over a period of a few weeks in calling close to 10,000 people, they were managed to achieve this overnight and acquire a huge number of emails and result in a really great sign up to this event, and they were really excited by the results they got from that. So here's another example of where Gopher has been used. So Smart Leasing, they sell novated car leases, and so they wanted to find out why they were losing customers. They had people who were engaged and they'd got so far down the track, but unfortunately had just fallen over at the last hurdle to sign up and commit to the leasing arrangement with the motor vehicle. And so they wanted to basically go out and poll these people and find out, okay, is it us? Is it our competition, or our competition better? They wanted to get some really great intel so then they could go and tailor or fix problems if they could identify any problems. So what they did is they went out to the people who they'd lost, and they just said, hey, we're just wondering if you could take 2 minutes to answer a couple of quick questions. That'd be fantastic. So me and Morris and a couple of guys at Gopher, we felt like this might be tricky to engage with people because they were lost customers. There was no real incentive for them to engage. But lo and behold, people were more than happy to simply send a couple of responses, spend a couple of minutes of their time via SMS. So they ended up getting 35% of people that received that conversation engaged with it and responded to this survey. So they're able to get some good data out of this. And one of the really great things out of it was that they were actually able to reactivate a bunch of people who were still considering their options. So when they got, I'm not going to go into the whole details of what that conversation looked like, but one of the questions actually said, what are the reasons for you not committing or not going ahead with it? And so the couple of the options they had were A, too expensive, B, still considering options, C, too complicated. I think D was we went to a competitor or something like that. But when a person ended up with the still considering the options, we transitioned that conversation directly to the smart leasing agent. So they were able to know that Derek was right now engaging in that survey. He said that he was still considering his options on what to do, and then they were able to reach out to them, to that person immediately, and then reactivate a potential sale, have a conversation with them. So it led to a whole bunch of hot leads. And that's a good thing about the SMS, I haven't spoken about it beforehand, was that as opposed to a call center, when you're trying to call through to people, you struggle to find people at a time that suits them. But with an SMS conversation, the conversation starts at a time that suits the customer. So they could be with the kids, or they could be at work, and then they could leave work or leave the kids and hop on the bus on the way home, and that's when the time suits them. And so they're looking at their messages, yep, I'll reply to that now. So they start having a conversation at a time that suits them instead of being, I guess, invaded with a call center call. So that's why we tend to see some really high response rates and some really great results for our customers. So I guess we're getting towards the end now. So I guess it's something for everybody to think about. The SMS conversations, obviously, these are some of the results. It leads to increased engagement. It allows you to increase trust and loyalty, which in turn can lead to increased conversion. So it's a lot easier to sell to somebody if you have a conversation with them, as opposed to just sending out a broadcast and not engaging with them where they're at in a personalised manner. The next thing is Gopher allows for increased customer satisfaction, because obviously, as we mentioned before, with this transition feature, you can actually action any customer request instantly on the spot when they're engaged with it. So if they have a question and it doesn't fit the Gopher automated conversation mold, then it can be transitioned to an expert or somebody that you want to handle that conversation. They can take over. The other thing is that this Gopher allows you to become customer centric. So never before have you really been able to listen to the voice of the customer and then respond immediately. So all those leads, all those detractors, you can action on the spot. The other thing is that obviously, having a robot have your conversations, it allows your budget to go a lot farther, and it allows the results to come in quicker. You can go to thousands of people and get results overnight, as opposed to if you engage your call center to have all those calls. It can take a significant period of time, and obviously is quite expensive. With Gopher, you can automate X% of those conversations, and then only need the call center to get involved with those really important ones which you'd like a human to actually take over. Now I guess we'll open up the floor to any questions. Okay, so if you'd like to use the chat feature, if you have any questions, that would probably be the best way to go about doing this. So Darren Higgins has just asked the question, do you have any B2B examples? So yeah, so it's a good question. So typically Gopher, it goes out to your members, your supporters, the external, usually your customers. For Australia Post, it was used internally, so to do NPS of their contractors. So essentially you could go out to your staff, you could have a conversation, you could ask questions of your staff, but essentially it's usually best to go to people with a mobile phone. I guess Gopher is best for engaging individuals on their phones, as opposed to if you go to businesses through their desktop, because they're going to be answering via email rather than via SMS. Does anybody have any more questions?
Hi everybody, it's Derek here. We've got a little bit of time here, so if you do have any questions, please use the chat feature to send those through, and we'll have Morris or Luke take care of those for you.
Please, Derek, while we're waiting for other questions, I did want to touch on the cost savings area of this whole digital conversations. Where we're seeing it largely is not necessarily in email campaigns, but really around the call centres, where there's conversations that call centres need to make out to donors, supporters, customers. They're hard to reach out to. They're hard to find. Often call centres are seen as intrusive. So people are taking us up to look at another way of reaching out that's a nice, much more friendly, amicable way of having a dialogue with someone.
Thanks, Morris. We here at Marketing Cube have been using the SMS process with our Eloqua campaign. So we're combining the marketing automation along with SMS. So we're not really using it for outbound marketing per se. We use it primarily for event reminders, just like some of you today requested an SMS reminder. So a nice byproduct that we found of that whole process is that we're getting a lot more mobile numbers into our database, which means they in turn are going into our CRM, which in turn makes life easier for our sales team and support team to reach customers via mobile. So there's all sorts of great benefits of the process. We're just on 10 minutes past the hour, so we might get a little bit of an early mark here, unless we have any more questions. Otherwise, we might wrap up. But thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be sure to shoot you out some communication with links to replays for today's session. Thank you, Darren, for your comments. Appreciate that. And we'll provide you with links to replays, as I said, via YouTube. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and prosperity with marketing. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.